typed in a WhatsApp group. What's the difference between a bug? Okay. The bug term is used informally in speaking in some informal texts. In formal software testing text, the bug is meaningless, but in informal speaking, sometimes the bug is used instead of fault, sometimes used for error, sometimes used for software failure. But in formal texts, I didn't see the term bug in formal articles, formal papers in specialized journals. So we don't use the term bug in this course. This term just used in the dialogues used in speaking by not specialized persons. Okay. Okay. But some of you asked about the study and presentation project. Note that this project has several advantages for you. I want to remember these advantages as I believe, as I experienced in this area. First of all, you should know that the goal of postgraduate education is to reach the frontiers of the knowledge and technologies and expand them. So the first goal of postgraduate education, as you know, is to reach the frontiers of knowledge and technologies, and at the same time expand them. So this could be realized by reviewing the reports of the latest achievements published in the world's prestigious scientific and technical journals in various fields of science and technology. So for this important thing, we have provided you with a collection of up-to-date articles related to topics of the course. As you know, I sent it for you yesterday. Second advantage is that you will be familiar with the structure of a scientific article, as well as you will be acquainted with a number of specialized journals in this field, and finally you have a practice on reading journal papers. By doing this project, by doing this practice, you reach this goal. You will be familiar with several parts of software of journal articles. You will be familiar with journals, specialized journals. You will be familiar with how to define a research project in a specialized field. and so on. So this is the second advantage of this project. As I believe, the third advantage is that you will be experienced a research process and learn, for example, how to define a scientific or technical problem, or how to present a solution for a problem, for a specific problem, or you should learn how to approve your solution and how to evaluate its performance technically. Okay. Another usage of this project is you should learn, will be learn which research methodology could be used in each type of problems in our major. Okay. Or the another advantage or the another usage of this project under this major advantage is you should know that what tools and data set could be useful in each field of study. What tools and data set could be used in software test, in for example fault localization problem, in fault prediction problem, in test data generation, in malware detection for various platforms such as cloud, such as IoT, Internet of Things, such as web-based applications. Okay. So the third advantage is that you will be experienced with a research process and learn how to use tools, how to use what tools will be useful, how solutions should be presented, how approve the solutions, how evaluate your solutions, and so on. As I believe, the fourth advantage of this project is that in your practical implementation of a selected paper, you will learn how to work with a specific tool, how to work with a special data set, how download and install some extra tools in your field. Okay. And the last advantage, as I believe, is that in this stage, in this education program, when you reach to the thesis stage, you are familiar with several topics and you can define your thesis very quickly. Okay, this is very valuable, very good for you, very valuable. This is a big advantage of this project. So you should practice this study and presentation in our course, and I believe that is the best experience for you, and you can finish your education program just on time. You have no delay. You can be familiar with research works in other universities all over the world. You can see some laboratories and institutes all over the world, and you can find position for your PhD education or for working all over the world. So this is an important subject for me in this class, and you can set time for this work, and you need some hard working, and I do my best in familiar you with some aspects of the work in our lectures. I want to better introduce some concepts, some basic rules in software testing by my lectures in our teaching program. So I think we could have a good experience in your class, and I learned from you some solutions, some problems, new problems, up-to-date solutions, some tools how to work, and again I will learn to you some tools as I know in this course. There is a question in the chat box. Can I choose the Internet of Things to make presentation, and is it possible for more than one student to choose the same subject? Yes, no problem. You can work on Internet of Things. As you have seen, I send you some papers in this area, especially on let me see, I open some of the papers before class. Okay, for example, this paper is about in topic of Internet of Things, a systematic review on deep learning approaches for IoT security. You can work on this paper, and it's a very good paper. As you know, this paper is published in 2021. This is a very good paper. This is the newest publishment in this area, and as you know, this paper is accepted in 22 February this year. So you can work on this paper, and for review articles there is no problem. Two students work on the same paper, or two students work on the same topic but different papers. Okay, there is no problem. Just you should select as soon as possible and start to work on the paper. And in these classes, as I want to record the lectures offline, so we have time to work together on the papers in official times defined by university for this course. This class times could be set for working on your papers on your subject, or check your advancements in your studying. Okay. Another question. Some of you asked me what about the presentation? How you should present your work? Two students could make one presentation, but each of you should present one part of your presentation. Note that some papers, such as this paper you have seen, is a very extended paper. This has several approaches. This introduces several approaches, and each of its approach should be worked deeply, especially this paper worked on deep learning approaches, and probably you don't pass any course in this area, so you should learning this topic. I introduce you some courses about deep learning or machine learning. If you have no information about learning approaches, you could see some lectures, some online free lectures to learn about machine learning, about deep learning, and these topics are very extensive and very wide for you, so you can work with your friend. There is no problem. For example, for deep learning, I have searched an online course. I introduce it for you. This is an online course. The course page is in Persian, but the course material and presentation is in English. As you can see, this presentation.
That's machine learning. It's a science of getting computers to learn without being explicitly programmed. One of the research projects that I'm working on is getting robots to type in the house. How do you go about doing that? Well, what you can do is have the robot watch you demonstrate the task and learn from that. The robot can then watch what objects you pick up with.
I will introduce you some lectures, some known lectures in the world about machine learning, for example, about deep learning, and you could set time for seeing these lectures, and you have a better presentation, you have a deep study on your topic. So this is very good for some topics, for some papers. Two of you work on the same paper or same topic with two articles. How many slides of presentation for a typical paper? About 20 to 30 slides is enough. In your presentation, each of you have about 20 minutes for presentation and 10 minutes for answer questions of your friends or my questions. Okay, altogether you have about 30 minutes for a presentation with ask your questions. The page is on translate. You didn't got this page, the machine learning in Persian, but the lecture, you don't see the lecture. Oh, okay. Have you got this?
Sure. For me, one of the reasons I'm excited about this is the AI or artificial.
Okay. Any question? Can you give us an idea of this material? What we do? Is it a mini thesis or what? No, it is not a mini thesis. You just try to study a report of a research work, but you don't have innovation. You don't present your own solution for a problem. In your thesis you should diagnose a new problem, and you should do your best solution and approving your solution, and you should have some innovation. But in this subject, later, but this reading is deeply. You have a deeply. You present the experience of research work other persons, not from your own. So this is not a mini thesis. This is just a study. But I hope you have a deep study in this project. This is, as I talk with you, this is very valuable, as I believe. Video, okay.
What's machine learning? You probably done times a day without even knowing it. Each time you do a web search on Google or Bing, that works so well because their machine learning software has figured out how to rank it. When Facebook or Apple those applications to your friends and users, that's also machine learning. Each time you read your email and a spam filter saves you from having to wait through time because your computer has learned to distinguish spam.
This professor is a native language, English speaking, and you don't have problems as you have with me. So very good lecture for machine learning, and I will introduce you some videos about learning for those of you who select a paper related to machine learning. Know all of you seeing this video. This video just for ones who want to see a paper related to machine learning. But other papers which these techniques, these approaches. There is no forces to learn machine learning. So this is arbitrary. Okay. Another question. Okay. Said the purpose of this session is to just answer your question. Your questions about the previous lecture. If you have any about the previous, you it and I to answer in with a different words so that you got the concept. Can you explain with example, simple example? Okay, this that you seen in my slide is a very simple example. You note that we define a software fault as a static defect. What is static defect? The static defect is a wrong statement in your code. This is a wrong statement. This is syntax, but an incorrect set to this variable. As you see in my video, this method detect the sign of its input. So for to this, a sign variable is defined and x is compared 0. If x is less than 0, the sign would be negative. Correctly set this statement is written correctly, but in else part you know that this statement is incorrect, because in else x is greater than 0. When x is greater than 0, this then x is non-negative. So in this statement, the sign variable should be assigned by non-negative string or positive string. The return value should be non-negative. The return value should be positive instead of negative. So this statement is an incorrect statement. Correct statement is a static defect. Okay. Let me explain software failure and software error for a friend. Then I answer your questions. What about the software failure? We define software failure as incorrect behavior. What's the behavior of this method? The behavior is detecting the sign of its input and return it as output. When the output is true, behavior is, when the output is wrong or incorrect, the behavior is incorrect. When the output is incorrect, we have failure. Method is on its computation. Okay? When we have incorrect output, method for concrete value, we have a wrong output, we have an incorrect behavior for this method. So we say that we have a software failure of our method fail in its computation because we are looking for a special input. Okay? Have you got a software failure? Okay, but what's the software error? What's the software error? As I said in the lecture, an incorrect internal state. For got this sentence, we should define state. What's the internal state of a program? Each program has several internal variables such as temporary variables and so on. So it's defined by value setting on internal variables at a special time. If my program in one of its state at a specific time have variables with incorrect value, we program in an error state or in an incorrect state. Incorrect state is a result of execution of some faulty if my program have has some faulty statement or feed it with incorrect inputs, feed it with invalid inputs, they go to incorrect internal state. So we say that the program in error state, as it is the result of the execution of some software fault, and the error state could lead to software failure. Actually, could define software if error before software failure, but this order is used by I don't change the order of them. So the software fault lead to software error and software failure. But how software error leads to software failure? When my program to its statements one by one, and some initial setting some variables to a wrong value, these values may be propagated across the execution path, and later maybe use this run value for their computation. Okay, and final state, the final state, states of the program changed by each statement execution. Final state of the program has some variables incorrect, some variables with incorrect value, with wrong values, and these wrong values show to the user achieve correct behavior. The user saw incorrect behavior, and the user conclude that the behavior, the software of the program is incorrect, and the program fails in its computation. Okay. I hope my explanation is enough proper for you, for all of you. But the later questions, the caliber could be a white PDF, not blue. We can. I don't got it. My screen is there. My screen is there. The question is how to send the file to the Telegram page, and what's the time to set the presentation. I would provide you with a schedule for your presentation. Don't worry about this matter. As you select and write to me your papers, then I schedule regard to the work needed for each paper. Some papers need working and need more time, so my schedule problem. So you should introduce me your paper, your topic as soon as possible to schedule, to set in a schedule table, timetable. Download this lecture in LMS. Some of your friends cannot download the lecture. As I tried yesterday, I can't do it also, and I asked from Dr. Rahim to tell me some other way to lecture, and I wish he answer me. So your presentation should be presented in PowerPoint slides. Okay. Other questions? Mr. Ahmad, you can speak by your mic. Yeah. So if you have no any questions, let me to finish the session. No question? Okay. I hope see you soon. I wish you have a good day. Goodbye.